So we're going to talk about methods. And don't worry, I'm going to show you exactly what they are. But backing up, a method is a block of code grouped together to perform a particular operation. Methods are inside of classes. So if you're looking at the worksheet, we don't have any methods in this class or the one on the back because I just was only working on constructors at that point. But you'll see one in just a sec. You can call and use methods even if you don't know how they work, as long as you know what they require and what they do. What I mean is that's part of Java's object-oriented programming system, where we could have a system where I write a block of code, I write a class, and I don't let you see the code. So you don't get to see the code, but I tell you guys, you can create this object, and the object has these methods, and this is what they do. And then you could write code that uses my code, even though you don't see my code. You could call the methods, and as long as you knew what they were supposed to do, it separates the responsibilities for things. So then, if something was wrong with my code, I know what I have to fix, and like I don't have to worry how Mr. Hayes sets the GPA. I just know I send him the GPA and it gets set. So by the way, when you call a method, so you're going through lines of code, you call a method. Java goes and runs that method code and finishes running that method code and then comes right back to where you were and keeps going. So it doesn't call the method and keep going at the same time. It doesn't go in two places at once. So you're printing something and then you're calling a method. So then the code doesn't go farther. It goes and does whatever that method had to do, and then it comes back and then it keeps going. That's what interrupts the code, executes the method, and then comes back. You'll see. Here is a cute little class that we're going to use the entire year. It's the frog class, and I made it, and you're going to come to love the frog. The frog is simple. It has one private variable, a location, and it has one constructor. You create a frog. You don't send over any arguments. You just create a frog, and it sets the location to 0. And then you can tell the frog to hop, and it goes forward 1 space on the location. Or you could tell the frog to hop a certain amount, and it goes ahead that amount. And then you're able to ask the frog, hey, where are you? And it tells you where it is. And then you're able to print the frog, and don't worry about all that. You'll learn about all that later. So let's see let's talk about the parts of this. That's the constructor. How do we know? It says public and then has exactly the same name as the class. So notice all these other ones, these methods, public, it says public void hop int, public int get location, public string toString. There's only one that says frog, and notice it also doesn't say public void or public int or public string. It's just public and the name of the class. That's the constructor. So you can always find the constructor. These are methods. This class has one constructor, 4 methods, 1 variable, right? The little variable up there. How do you call a method? You use the dot operator. So here's code that uses the frog class. Check it out. Frog f equals new frog. So I created a frog. This is like what we did last class where we created a rectangle or a square, right? And I print it, system.out.println f. So then the print code in there runs. Now I hop the frog. This is the dot operator. So if I want the frog to hop, I just type f.hop, and you have to have empty parentheses because back here, there's empty parentheses on hop. And then I print again, and check it out. So I got to move this because it's in the way. How about you stay there? So the first print prints out this little @ symbol, and it's at 0. We hop twice. I print again. Here, we hop twice. There's a little period symbol for every. That's just how I made the frog work. And then finally, we hop 10 more. So now there's 12. There's 12 little dots, and then the frog. Okay, so I mentioned the frog class has two dot hop methods, one that takes an integer and one that takes nothing. And this is just like the constructors. When you have more than one method with the same name, but they have different signatures, it's called method overloading. And again, it's not overloading like, oh, I'm feeling so overloaded, like a bad thing. It just tells you, oh, we have more than one method with the same name, but they do different things. And they have different signatures. They take different parameters. So when you call hop with nothing, it just hops ahead one space. When you call hop with an integer, it hops that many spaces. So here again, I called hop twice, it hopped twice, and then I called hop 10, and so there's 12 dots altogether now down there. Questions? Yes.
So dot hop is a method in your class, right?
Yeah, and you wouldn't say that dot hop is a method, you would just say hop. Yeah, hop is a method.
And so F is the name of the frog.
F is the name of the frog.
And then the dot is just calling it.
The dot tells Java we're calling a method. So you could name the frog. You could name the frog Kermit, and then all those commands would say Kermit.hop.
Could you create more than one frog?
Yeah. You can then say frog G or frog F1, F2, F3.
And you could display all of them on the same.
You can make an array of frogs with a million frogs in it, and then hop them all. But maybe another day. So methods. Not a constructor, but methods have a return type. So the return type, here's void on these two and int. The return type means they're going to send some data back to whoever called the method. So if if it says void, that means nothing is getting sent back. But if it says int or string or double, it means something is getting sent back. So let's look back at the class. Public void hop. That means when you call that method, we're just telling the frog hop, and no information comes back to whoever called it. But over here, public int get location, if I call that method, then an integer is coming back. And when I print the frog, it calls this toString method, and a piece of text comes back. But let's see if I have a good example for this. So the main ones in the frog class, we've got void hop, and int get location. So I haven't used get location yet. Here's how you would use that. To use the get location method, we either store the information in a variable or we print it. So I could say int loc equals f dot get location, and that means I'm taking wherever f is and I'm storing it in a variable. Or if I just wanted to print it out, I could print f dot get location. I normally that's funny. I normally have the code in Monaco. Anyway, I can't fix it right now. So we would never say this, and in fact, Java won't let you. System.out.println f.hop, because hop is void. So Java's going to be like, okay, I'm going to print something, and then it's like, wait a minute, hop is a void method. I can't. It's not giving me anything to print. So and then it actually won't even compile. It won't even let you execute that code because all the hops don't return anything, so you're not allowed to print them. So methods are identified by their signatures. That's the method name, the return type, and their parameter list. Kind of like with constructors, except constructors don't have a return type, and they all are the same name. So constructors are special. They always have the same name of the class, and they don't have a return type. So here's the frog constructor. Notice it doesn't say public int frog or public void frog, because it wouldn't be a constructor if we did that. Okay, so now I've got a frog program I want you to do before we do the rest of our notes. I'll pause the video, and I'm recording again. And we have something else today. This is called the scanner class. This is how we're going to ask the user for information. So everybody stop typing and look up here. when we want to ask a user for information, we have to use a scanner. And to use a scanner, you have to have this line at the top, import space java.util.scanner. And then before you have that at the very top, like not inside the curly bracket stuff, just up by your name at the very top of the program. I'll show you. And then before you ask the user for information, you have to create a scanner object. So you say scanner scan. It doesn't have to be called scan. It could be called scanner Hayes. It could be called scanner X. It could be called scanner Mr. Froggy. But then equals new scanner, and you have to say system.in. That's just how it works. That tells it where it's getting the input. I'm sure I have an example. After you create the scanner object, you use it like this. Int a equals scan.nextInt. And if you want another one, int b equals scan.nextInt. And if you want a double scan.nextDouble. And if you want a line of text, string name equals next line. So it's not quite consistent. It asks, it's int for int, it's double for double, but then it's line for a string. But that's the way it works. So here's some code showing it all in context. System.out.println, hop the frog, how many spaces, colon, and then int d equals scan.nextInt. So if we were running this code, Java would print that and then pause until somebody typed a number and hit enter, and then it would hop the frog that far. So you can imagine I'm probably going to ask you to do something like that. But to summarize, up top above the first braces, like before it says class main, you would say import.java.util.scanner. And don't worry, you'll have the slide deck. Then inside your code, just once before you start trying to get data from the user, you make a scanner object. And I don't care what you name it, but often you name it scan because that's easy to read. The rest of the line has to be like it is. And then finally, to get information from the user, you print a prompt, just a print call, system.out.println, tell them what you want. And then on the next line, you can say something like this, string name equals scan.nextLine. If you wanted a string, and you'd say next int if you wanted a number. And
So
line is for strings. And if I want to ask the user for two integers, I can do this. Please enter two integers, and then I have the A and the B just on separate lines, and it'll work. So I've got another REPL. It's the Day8 scanner REPL, and then that's it for today. It's the worksheet which I'm giving you all credit for. There's the frog and there's the scanner, and that's it. So I'll stop.